Hey guys, welcome to Meeple Bits. Thanks for joining me today. Seven Wonders. You are the leader of one of the seven great cities of the ancient world. Gather resources, develop commercial routes, and affirm your military supremacy. Build your city and erect architectural wonders which will be transcended future times over. Designed by Antoine Bauza, published by Repos Productions for 2 to 7 players, with a playtime of 30 minutes, Seven Wonders was originally published in 2010. So join me as we go through this setup and playthrough of the classic game, Seven Wonders. Hey everybody, welcome back to a 3-player setup of the game, Seven Wonders. So before we begin, let's take a quick look at the different components available to us as we go through and play the game. We'll have age cards, or the deck that we're going to draft from, 3 of them, age 1, 2, and 3. We've got player boards, or wonder boards, currencies, which are in 1, 3, and 6 dominations. And then we've also got military tokens in 1, 3, and, in -1, 1, 3, and 5, depending on the age that you're going to deal them out. And then lastly, we've also got guild cards. The guild cards are only available in age 3 and are all purple, so that you know the difference between them when going through the deck. So when setting up the game, you're going to determine first how many players are going to be at the table, and then remove cards that are not for that number of player. So you'll see here, this is for 7 and above. This one is for 7 and above. There we go. Here's one for 5 and above. So go through and determine how many players are playing and remove the cards of the players that are not going to be at the table. So in this game, I've gone and dealt out 3 hands that we're going to draft from, all with the 3+ icon here. Take the remaining cards and put them in the box. To set up Act 3, once you've gone through and pulled out all the cards necessary, you're going to add in guild cards. The number of guild cards you include will be the number of players plus 2. So in a 3-player game, we're going to add 5 guilds. In, say, a 6-player game, you're going to include 8 guilds. There we go, 8. 8 guilds. And in a full-player game, you're going to include 9 guilds. So let's take a quick look, before going through the initial setup of the game, of what type of cards are available. We've got the gold cards, which are your commercial structure cards. We've got the blue cards, which are, oh man, I forget what these ones are called, but they basically give victory points. That is blue. It looks a little purple in this lighting, but I promise you it's blue. Civilian structures, that's what they're called, civilian structures. We've got science structures, green cards. Gray and brown cards are going to be your raw materials, or rather, sorry, these are your raw materials and these are your manufactured materials. So raw is going to be things like stone, ore, brick, wood, and then this is going to be things like parchment, cloth, and the water. And then red military cards. Those are the type of cards that you're going to see as you go through the game. In addition to those types of cards, let's take a quick peek at their iconography so we know what's going to happen during the game. For the gray and brown cards, these are resource cards. So up here, this is the resource that's going to be available to you if this is built. For the gold cards, this one, for example, is immediately going to pay out 5 coins. It does nothing more than that. For your civilian structures, this one is worth 3 victory points. You'll notice here in the lower right-hand corner, it says aqueducts. If I can get it to focus. maybe. There we go, aqueduct. That means that on a future turn, this card can get upgraded into this structure for no cost. And in the upper left-hand corner of the card is the cost to build this structure. So this card costs 1 stone, whereas this one has no cost. This structure costs 1 coin. It doesn't upgrade for free into anything and is worth a wood or an ore. So this slash here is not an and, it's an or, meaning this can only be used once on your turn as one or the other. And let's see, here's some brick, no cost. And a card like this, for example, if you've got this one, you'll see here in the lower right that it can be upgraded into something at no cost. But this means that the player to your left, you can purchase these resources from for 1 coin. And I'll cover that in just a second. But anyway, that's all the cards, its iconography, and what we're going to do for initial setup. So let's go ahead and dive into what that initial setup looks like. So once you've extracted all the cards that are not for the number of players, and you've added the number of guilds into Age 3, deal out every player a wonder at random and pick either side A or side B. Side B is a little more expert. Give each player 3 coins from the bank and you're ready to get started. But before we get started, what are we playing towards? Well, the game is played over 3 ages, and at the end of each age, you're going to resolve military conflict throughout all the players. Then, on endgame scoring, you're going to go through, count up all the victory points from military, from your gold buildings, from your wonders down here, which you see here. Everyone has, here at the table, a 3 and a 7, and then the middle one is worth a 3 and a 7, and the middle is worth something special. Your civilian structures, your commercial structures, your guilds, and then your science. Now, the science cards, they're pretty unique in how they score for victory. So, at the end of the initial setup here, I'm going to cover what that looks like to give you an idea. So, like I said, I'll cover that in just a second. But on your turn, what does a turn look like? Well, in a card draft, you've got a hand of cards. So this is your hand that you're going to choose a card from. All players are going to pick 1 card. You're going to see what you're choosing from, but all players are going to pick 1 card, set it down, and then once all players have declared the card that they want to choose, they're going to flip it over. There we go. So we're going to flip it over, pay its cost, if any, and then pass the hand to the next player. In Act 1, it goes clockwise. In Age 2, it's going to go counterclockwise, and Age 3, clockwise once again. So when paying a building's cost, example, this one, I don't own any stone. So in order for me to build this, I must either have the resource in my hand, or I must be able to buy it from one of my neighbors. And now your neighbors are to your left and to your right, never across from you. So in a 3-player game, however, everyone is a neighbor. So everyone is in military conflict with one another. And what that means is, when a player drafts a military card, like this one, for example, this person now has 1 military might. And at the end of the age, you're going to resolve that military conflict. And I'm in battle with my neighbors. In a 4-player game, so let's say there were a 4th person over here, then I, in this position, would only be in conflict with those 2 players, and I would only be able to trade with those 2 players. Me and this player across the table from one another, well, we know of each other, but we're never in military conflict, nor can we trade with one another. But in a 3-player game, as I mentioned, everyone is neighbor and everyone can trade with one another. So, in order to, say, construct this card, it costs 1 stone. One of my neighbors must have a stone in their city in order for me to purchase it from, because I don't have it in my city. And to purchase it, you would pay that player 2 coins. So you would actually give it to them into their tableau. And that's it. That's the play of each turn. Put this back in my hand. There we go. So that's the play of each turn. You're going to draft a card, play the card, pass the cards, and do it again until there's 2 cards remaining in your hand. You're then going to draft one and discard the other. And then that's the end of an age. Rinse and repeat for age 2 and age 3 until final game scoring. If you cannot afford a card that you draft, so let's say I draft this card, but I can't afford it, or I need money and I didn't want to build it, you can discard it to the bank, or discard it into a discard pile, let's say off to the side, and then collect 2 coins for your trouble. If you wanted to build one of your structures here of your wonder, take a card, and instead of paying its cost here, ignore it completely and pretend that you're somewhat discarding it, sliding it under like so, and instead of paying anything on this card, just ignore this card entirely. Instead, pay the cost of the tier of your wonder that you're building. And the tier of your wonders must be built in order. So I cannot go and build my 3rd tier, because you can't build the top without building its base. So recap. On my turn, I can choose a card. I can either buy the card, pay its cost. This one costs, whereas this one is free. I can discard it and get 2 coins from the bank. Or I can build it into my wonder by ignoring the card entirely and only paying attention then to the cost of the wonder that I'm building. And that's it. The gameplay is going to go through the 3 ages until everything is complete. But there, as I mentioned, there's that small nuance when it comes to science victory. So before I go into playing some turns and showing you guys how it gets played, let me show you very quickly, because the rest is self-explanatory, but let me show you the complications, or I guess the intricacies of a science victory point. And I'm putting focus on that because it's going to be the, I guess, most complicated one. When it comes to military, that one's relatively simple. You're either going to have one military conflict and got some of these victory points at the end of an age and add them up, or you're going to have subtracted a victory point because you lost a military conflict at the end of an age, and then your other buildings, let's see here, like these blue ones, they just have victory points on them, so you're going to add them up like normal. If you've got any of these wonders, reference the instruction manual for the 2nd tier for any in-depth details, which I'm not going to go through in this video. But on to the science. So the science victory. Let's say, for example, in my drafting, I managed to do something like this. There we go. I like to put them on the corner so I can see the names of everything. Abacus. Okay. So let's say we're at endgame scoring and I managed to draft these science cards. How you're going to score that is you're going to first score unique sets of 3. So there are only 3 unique science symbols. We've got this compass thing, we've got this tablet, and then we've got this cog. These are the 3 unique symbols that are available during play. So first, you're going to do the 3 uniques across, and 3 uniques are worth 7 victory points each. So in this case, I have 1 set of 3, that's 7 victory points, and that's it. I don't have another set of 3 available. So I've got 7 victory points for the 1 set. Then I score the individual sets, and how that gets scored is it's the number of cards squared. Not doubled, but squared. What that means is, here I have 2 cards. So these 2 cards would be 2 squared. 2 times 2 is 4. Here I have 3 cards. 3 squared is 9, and here I have 1 card. 1 squared is, is 1. So to add up these science victories, I'm going to take 7 plus 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, and 3 squared is 9. So I've got 9, 10, 14, plus 7, 21 points. So if I had all these science structures, this would be worth 21 victory points total. Again, recapping that, the sets of 3 worth 7 victory points. Then the pairs, so 3 unique, 7, and the pairs are worth the number squared. All right, guys, so that's the game. Let me pull these off, and let's dive in to what a couple of turns would look like when drafting for your city. So let's begin. I, as player 1, I'm going to look at my cards here, and you know, I need some resources. I've got 1 wood, but I need 2 wood to build out this, but having some resources never hurt anyone, and I'll need some stone for 2, so you know what, let's go ahead and draft this stone card. So I place it face down, get ready to pass this hand to the left. Player 2 is going to do the same. They're going to go through and, you know, look at their cards and say, ooh, science, that looks pretty good, and it upgrades into some things at a later time. So yeah, they're going to go ahead and draft this card, getting ready to pass that one, and then this player is going to do the same thing. They need 2 brick for one of theirs. They need 3 wood on the next tier, so they're going to go ahead and draft a wood resource, and then pass this one. Now, all players are going to reveal the card that they drafted. So, I drafted this one. I pay no cost because it didn't cost me anything. I'm going to slide it under here with the rest of my resources. They're going to build this out into their city. And this player, but they have to pay 1 cost. Sorry, it costs 1 scroll, but they have 1 scroll. So this is a free resource to them. So they are able to build this at no cost to them, other than the resource that they had. And then this card cost nothing as well. All right, slide that under the resource section of the tableau. And then all cards get passed around. Now, the remaining cards that this player had, I'm going to take into my hand. And then we're going to do it once more. Everyone's going to look at what's available to them. Well, I do need stone and wood, so this is really valuable to me. I'm going to take that one, pass that to my left. They are going to take, they need some more parchment, but let's see, they could, yeah, you know what, they're going to build this one. Get ready to pass that. And then player 3 is just going to go for some victory points. Here, draft that one. Can they pay its cost? I should probably look at that. No cost. Okay, cool. And then get ready to pass this hand. All right, then all players are going to reveal and pay their cost. So I'm going to reveal another resource card, slide it under, pay its 1 coin cost. Player 2 is going to reveal his military might. Now he doesn't have any wood, so he can choose to buy wood at 2 coins from either player, because we both have wood available as a resource to us. So he's going to look and say, okay, you know what, I'm going to buy it from this player. And now he's paid for the wood that he needs. A player cannot deny another player buying resources from them. So those resources are always available for trade. And then this one gets built at no cost. So I'm going to do a quick hard edit and just randomly throw out cards, or actually, you know what, let's not even do an edit. So this person's going to draft, say, that card, and that means he's going to draft this one, I'm going to draft this one, and then he's going to draft this one, and this one gets discarded. Doing the same thing with this hand. Discard. And the same thing with this hand. Here, 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 discard. Like so. So I would clean this up, and then we would kind of go through and resolve each turn, and then at the end of the age, figure out military might. And just kind of looking around the table at this random deal here, everyone has equal military might. So no one actually gets victory points at the end of age 1 because everyone has 1 military might. So anyway, guys, that's it. That's setup and playthrough of 7 Wonders. So stay tuned as I break down the table and give you guys my afterthoughts of this very classic game. So stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining me for that setup and playthrough of the game 7 Wonders. So where do I begin? Well, components like I typically do. The components in this one, really good. The box insert, not so much. In fact, I did go through and buy an aftermarket insert for this one, as I do with a number of games, just because, I don't know, the original insert left a little bit to be desired in dividing up the ages, so setup time took a little bit extra. So anyway, if you enjoy 7 Wonders and you've, if you know about the game and you've had it for a while and you play it often, grab a new insert. The game that comes with it, not a good one. Chit tokens for the currencies, never a fan of that, but otherwise, the cards are real nice components. The Wonders, beautiful, thick cardboard stock, easy to use as a proper tableau, something that you can keep all of your military pluses and minuses on, your currencies on, really easy to kind of manage and maintain. I guess the only thing that they might want to do in a future upgrade, there might be something out there, I don't know, maybe a play mat of sorts so that you could have your play area a little bit better organized, because sometimes that can be a struggle depending on the size of your table. But why should you add 7 Wonders to your collection? Well, because it's one of those just amazing classic games. In fact, this one is so good that I recently played it with a couple of people whom do not play board games at all. And when I suggested that we play some board games, they actually thought we were going to play something kind of similar or straightforward, like, I don't know, like playing card games. And I'm like, no, we're going to play a proper strategic heavy style game like 7 Wonders. So a lot of explaining went into that match, but 3 people at the table had never played this type of game before and probably hadn't played anything beyond your Parker Brothers roll and move style games, and they loved it. I wouldn't have called this one a gateway game by any stretch, but at least they were open to trying a new game. And so if a game can engross new players in such a fashion, far be it from me not to recommend it as well. In fact, they went out and looked at the price of 7 Wonders like within a week to see if they wanted to add it for themselves. And I was like, wow, that's actually pretty cool. Either one, I did a decent job of explaining it, or the game itself just speaks volumes. And it does. It's really engaging, a lot of strategy involved, different paths to victory, so no one strategy can always win. Remember one time, one of my core members of my board game group, they won through mostly science and civilization cards, and they had almost no resources. I think they only ever built 1 resource. They managed to win the game through purely upgrades. Now, would I suggest that? No. But man, those cards just kept getting passed to this player, in just the right way. He just happened to have the structure for that free upgrade, never needed resources. But that's what's great about 7 Wonders, is that you can do that. You can pull out a victory with not much investment into yourself. So that was pretty cool. Reason why I may not recommend 7 Wonders is because it can be overwhelming. And in fact, that first group that I was mentioning there, they spent the better part of age 1 and 2 kind of confused as to what was going on. So it's not the easiest game to pick up. And I suggest that if you've only ever played it one time, give it a go again. Because I myself, after having played 7 Wonders one time, I won the game my first time, probably just pure luck, but
I didn't want to play it again. I was like, man, that game just seemed complicated. It was over my head. But we then, a couple days later, played it again, and then it all kind of clicked. It all made sense. So hopefully the how-to video helped you guys out a lot as well. Players like myself, it definitely took me a second playthrough to really understand it, but I loved it. So you may not want to add it to your collection though, because it might be just a little too complicated for the early going of players. But otherwise, guys, those are my thoughts. Those are my takes. I think you can probably get this game on Amazon for, I think it's still going pretty on the high side, around $50. So keep that in mind when looking for it. But it goes on sale often enough that you should add it to your collection if you're looking for that sort of strategy game that can actually play up to 7 people. And not a lot of games do that. So guys, if you enjoyed the video, give it a like. Definitely appreciate it. If you like what we're doing over here, feel free to leave a subscribe. Really appreciate all the support. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching.